all industries are facing workforce challenges, and I do think that is there's some specific challenges in the forest industry.
Today we're joined by Matt King from Heartwood Biomass and Jared Reynolds from the Forestry Accelerator, which helps forest startups with tools to develop and grow.
Forestry Accelerator is a 4-month business accelerator that's open to any North American-based startup, so either a US or Canadian company that is commercializing something new in the forest industry.
Matt will be sharing his own experience going through the Accelerator program and developing and going to market with his innovative new product called wood straw.
We basically take all of the non-saw materials, so everything you can't make a 2x4 out of from forest restoration or fire mitigation projects, and turn that material into a number of value-added products. And so we really squeeze every penny out of every log with the goal of facilitating more forest restoration.
Welcome to Wood World, the podcast that brings you insights from industry leaders and innovators. Join us as we uncover strategies and inspiration to elevate your business as part of our mission to improve the lives of people in the wood industry globally.
Today, I'm your host, Vadim Kovalev, and I have my co-host, Mario Angel from Koval, as well as we've got Jared, and we have Matt. I'd like you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves, please. Jared, would you mind taking the lead?
Yeah, my name is Jared Reynolds. I lead Due North in the Forestry Accelerator. So we are an entrepreneur hub center based in northern Vermont, about 40 minutes south of the Canadian border. And we run a physical co-working space and a range of sort of startup and entrepreneur-focused programs, one of those being our Forestry Accelerator.
Very, very cool. Jared, thank you so much. Matt, would you please be able to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, my name's Matt King. I'm the VP of Sales and Innovation at Heartwood Biomass. And Heartwood is a wood products facility based out of Northeast Oregon in Wallowa, Oregon. We basically take all of the non-saw materials, so everything you can't make a 2x4 out of from forest restoration or fire mitigation projects, and turn that material into a number of value-added products, including firewood, posts and poles like you see on farms, or agricultural trellis, chips that go into the paper industry, making cardboard boxes for Amazon, and then a variety of grades of fiber. So we sell fiber into the particle board market. We sell fiber into the energy market as hog fuel. So we really squeeze every penny out of every log with the goal of facilitating more forest restoration.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Well, very cool. I guess as an intro here, it'd be really great to hear how Jared, you and Matt connected. And if I may share, Koval has done a project with Jared, and we've worked together some in the past, so that's how we know each other. But Jared and Matt, how did you guys meet?
Yeah, so I run this Forestry Accelerator, so it's a 4-month program for startups in the forest industry that are commercializing some type of new product or service. And so we are on our second cohort of working with 8 companies, and Matt and Heartwood Biomass is one of the 8 companies we have in our current cohort that is participating.
Yeah, so we met.
Very cool.
I was forwarded a link to the Forestry Accelerator program from some colleagues of mine, actually from a couple different corners, that suggested I apply. And I called Jared up and understanding that we're not exactly a startup. We've been operating for about 12 years now, but we are starting up a new facility down in Tuolumne County, and we're also trying to commercialize a new product line. And so talked to Jared on the phone, and he said that we'd still be a good fit for the program, and that's proven to be the case.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That's really cool that you were introduced there and got to know each other as well. Jared, could we start with you maybe? Could you provide an overview of what is the Forest Products Accelerator, and maybe even just at the high level, what's your mission? Why is this program exist? Just tell us a little bit more about who you serve, what you do, what's the mission behind it all.
Yeah, so the Forestry Accelerator is a 4-month business accelerator that's open to any North American-based startup, so either a US or Canadian company that is commercializing something new in the forest industry. Uh, and it's a hybrid program. So over the 4 months, all the companies come to Vermont for two what we call sprints, multi-day sprints. And then it also has a couple of virtual sprints. And then we do webinars or panels with industry leaders, investors, other entrepreneurs throughout the 4 month program. And we have a couple of focus areas are companies that are commercializing something new that uses low grade wood or develops markets for low grade wood, byproducts, resins, dusts. Any company that's developing a new technology that could improve industry operations or sales or management, or any advances to wood fuels or wood heat, are really the types of companies that we are looking for.
Right on. Jared, could I ask, kind of like, why does this program need to exist? How did you guys find a need for this? What was kind of the inspiration behind creating this program and the goals that it serves?
Yeah, so we are in our second year of this accelerator, and it emerged over like this multi-year period. We used to run this forestry hackathon out of Due North. So every year, we'd sort of put forward a new challenge, and people would come to start sort of make believe businesses a little bit to try to solve those challenges. And out of that, we saw these really interesting ideas emerging in our quite rural area here in northern Vermont, and saw this opportunity to support actual startups that are really looking to launch, grow, increase their sales. And so when we started this, we had two broad goals. One is we saw this need in the northern forest area, which is sort of like Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, New York, to address the challenges that exist in the region. And those challenges are pretty similar to challenges that exist throughout North America, looking for markets for low grade wood, looking at how the industry can leverage technology to address workforce challenges, changing environmental conditions. And then in addition to that, thought that there was this opportunity to support startups in the industry, that there are these other accelerators out there that are great, but they are not forest or wood products specific. And so that means like hard tech startups are a little bit different. They're looking for a different curriculum and a different approach that is not the same as what a software company is looking for. And then in addition, we thought a lot of companies wanted those industry connections, guidance, feedback that they weren't getting at these sort of industry agnostic accelerators. So many of the companies we have done another accelerator, but saw this opportunity to participate in an industry specific accelerator.
Wow, very, very neat. I guess, Jared, to stay with you here for a second, could you tell us a little bit more about your role on a day-to-day basis with, you said, Due North co-working. I know what a co-working space is. Um, that sounds like a great fit for an accelerator. You got a lot of people, a lot of action going on, and maybe your particular involvement with the accelerator as well. How do you balance those things? What are you in charge of? What do you do?
Yeah. So I run Due North. We have other people that also work here, which is this physical space. So a whole range of businesses, remote workers, other leaders throughout our region here in what we call the Northeast Kingdom, which is the 3 county area just to the south of Canada and bordering New Hampshire. And so we provide services to individuals in our region that need high-speed internet, collaboration, connections. And then within Due North, we run this range of sort of startup and entrepreneur-focused programs. And so some of those are focused on Vermont or on our region, working one-on-one with companies. We have like an ideation and business brainstorming workshop we do. We have a Kickstart NEK, which is really focused on startups within our 3 county region. And the Forestry Accelerator is unique in that it has more of a national focus. So we do have some companies from Vermont. We've had 4 Vermont-based companies and probably 7 or 8 New England-based companies participate, but then also is open to companies like Matt's that are based on the West Coast, but don't have or are looking for this type of resource. And so my role is sort of to both run this co-working space as well as the range of programming that we offer.
Thank you so much for sharing, and that's really exciting. As as our mission statement at our company is really to focus and live out the mission statement, which is simply put to improve the lives of the people in the wood industry globally. It's exciting to have the both of you here, and that's what you do, live and breathe every single day. So can't encourage you both enough. And but to switch topics here for a second, or to switch to Matt. Matt, could you share more about your position at your company, your VP of Sales and Innovation, from what we saw on LinkedIn at Heartwood, and kind of can you share your journey in the wood products industry to got you personally to this position where you're at now?
Absolutely. So, and maybe I'll start with the history a little bit and go from there. But um, the company that I now work for, Heartwood Biomass, was formerly Integrated Biomass Resources, and really came out of a public-private partnership between a nonprofit called Wallowa Resources, the county in Wallowa County, and then a couple different small wood products businesses. And Wallowa Resources itself originated in the kind of the collapse of the timber industry in the 90s. So, we formerly had a county of 7,000 people, formerly had 3 different full-scale sawmills working with over 100 employees each. All 3 of those shut down in the 90s, and Wallowa Resources was meant to be a community development nonprofit really focused on natural resource stewardship through utilization. So basically like managing farms, forests, waterways in such a way that allows a sustainable natural resource economy to thrive rather than being more of an extractive economy, having it be focused more around a stewardship economy. And so a big piece of that effort from Wallowa Resources day one was to find a way to facilitate forest management and bring more forest products businesses back into the county. And this was, from the beginning supported by the county government itself as well. They tried a number of different things, including, a large scale power plant that could have really addressed kind of the need of forest restoration on the forest. So there's, one big problem across the West is that there's just kind of too much wood in the forest because of a century of fire suppression. And generally that wood tends to be small. So there's, more biomass than there should be overall and way more trees because it used to be less biomass in bigger trees. So there are way fewer individual trees. And so they tried to do a big power plant to sort of address the scale of the need on the forest, but that didn't work because we have really cheap electricity around here and biomass energy is expensive. And they tried to do a small sawmill and they tried to do an individual post and pole mill and nothing really worked. You couldn't really match the relatively high cost of logging with relatively low value markets and make it pencil. And so Integrated Biomass Resources, it was founded by David and Jesse Schmidt. They had started just doing firewood, and in 2011 built an integrated facility with on an old mill site that the county actually bought on behalf of the business. And then in partnership with Wallowa Resources, built a facility that included an integrated processing line. So basically being able to bring unsorted loads in from the forest, really reduce the cost of landing on, or the cost of logging on the landing out on the landscape, and bring that material in really affordably and then sort it efficiently and effectively into these different product lines that we still produce to this day. And so my start was actually with Wallowa Resources when that happened. So in 2011, I started with Wallowa Resources. My background is actually in fish biology and was working on, I was leading up the community scale energy program. So we did small scale hydro, we did some forest biomass energy stuff on smaller scale. We put in a small biomass heating plant for a school, and then for our own building, the Wallowa Resources Stewardship Center. That's an old hospital that's been refurbished into a multi-use office space. And so kind of started to dip my toes in biomass, and for 10 years worked for Wallowa Resources doing these small scale energy projects. But always partnering as a both collaborator, but also a direct owner of a part of Integrated Biomass Resources, collaborated extensively trying to develop new product lines, potentially new markets for energy, for pulp chips or the biomass fuels that we could produce at the facility. And then in 2021, Integrated Biomass Resources got some new investment and brought some new owners in to reinvest in the facility that had been kind of a trial and error thing for 10 years and learned a lot of very valuable and sometimes very challenging lessons. And that's when I switched over from being the director of the renewable energy program at Willard Resources to being the director of sales innovation over at Heartwood. And my role at Heartwood is really to sell the products that we do make currently and find new products that can be manufactured from these forest restoration residuals, and find markets for those products to actually sell them into. So it's really matching our production capacity, our potential additional capabilities through CapEx investments, and matching all that with existing markets. And that's my role to this day.
Matt, is that that's how you get involved with Forest Product Accelerator? Is trying to launch or help receive some help with new products, or
That's right.
I mean,
So
you were saying that you received some information from friends in the industry about the program. If you can elaborate a little bit more about that.
yeah, that's right. So we, in as I mentioned, one of our core capacities is really being able to sort equipment really efficiently. And we there's this talk in the industry about the wood products campus or wood products campuses or sort yards, where basically the idea is you can take that low value material that you can't make a 2x4 out of and sort it efficiently to different businesses. And we've always had all the product lines under one roof, but we actually leased a piece of our facility to a logging contractor that started a sort of a temporary veneer business. They had purchased this restoration project from the Forest Service, had a bunch of material that they didn't have a market for, and they wanted to have a go at making veneer. And so they were making veneer feedstock for the plywood market, and giving us all the waste that we were basically just chipping and not really making any money off of it, but using it in our boiler. So it still was an asset to us. But we started to think about what we could do with it to squeeze some more value out of it, and came across this product called wood straw. And wood straw is a next generation erosion control product that kind of looks and acts like agricultural straw when used as an erosion control mulch on the landscape, but it has a way higher permanence, so it lasts way longer. It doesn't biodegrade near as fast. It's way more resilient to water flow and wind, so it's way more fixed on the landscape. It's easier to seed through it if you want to seed beneficial species. And then, because it comes from the middle of a tree from veneer, it's necessarily weed free. So one thing that a lot of managers for erosion control projects, which our kind of target market, thanks to the accelerator program, that we've really defined as project managers for emergency stabilization in post-fire recovery. So there's also a little bit of a story there where we try and restore the forest before it burns, but if we can't, we also have products that can help restore the forest after it's burned, which is kind of neat. But these project managers have a lot of issues where they deal with the erosion problem with agricultural straw, and then create a weed problem where they're introducing noxious weeds, and then have to do years of treatment for these weeds. So, we bought some equipment to develop this product, or to operationalize this product at our facility. But everything else we sell is really a commodity. So the innovation is a skill, it's a muscle that you build at a business. And everything else we've done is pretty straightforward. You can buy a firewood processing machine, you can buy a post and pole peeler, and those markets are pretty well established. There's no difference really between our poles or our firewood and other firewood producers or other pole producers, much less pulp chips or something that's going into a paper mill that's buying 300,000 tons of chips a year. And so that practice of really developing a plan, a go-to-market plan for a new product, evaluating what the right markets are to tap into, and just creating a framework for operationalizing this product, but then actually taking it to market and growing that market, just wasn't a practice we had done. So the Forestry Accelerator was really ideal for us to help, build the skill set to do that, to do it specifically for wood straw, but also build the skill set to do that for other future product lines, because we will always be looking for new opportunities to monetize low value wood. And we'll always have this core capacity being able to sort, if someone wants 2-inch, 8-foot cedar logs, we can take mix loads of wood and sort out that material for a different product line, or for, even a business that we lease some ground to. And so building that muscle and strengthening our ability to do innovation methodically and intentionally is really what we are getting and have gotten to date from the accelerator.
Nice. For people that are listening to this podcast, from your experience, uh, what are the key elements on, let's say this is a 4-month program, right? What are the key elements on a monthly basis, or from what you have seen, how is that the program is structured for somebody, that another company or not another individual out there that is interested in participating in this program?
Yeah. So the program really starts out with establishing your, what they call the beachhead market, which is kind of exactly the small piece of the market that you're going to be selling your product into. And that was a great learning lesson for, I think, many people that were in the accelerator, that, take a product like ours, wood straw, there's everything from backyard gardens to, potentially like a Home Depot to road construction companies. There are all these different potential use cases, but really dialing in exactly the best use case, and therefore the ideal buyer and the beachhead market that comes from that buyer, was really the first step. And that was a real challenge, and one of the most important pieces of this tool that's coming out of the accelerator. And that beachhead market piece was also an introduction to there's basically a workbook that's a giant, complicated, unruly, and awesomely helpful Excel spreadsheet that allows you to go through all these steps from your beachhead market and establishing who your beachhead market is, and helps you think through all the right questions to then, as you go on through the accelerator, helps you think through exactly what your revenue and pricing model is, exactly how to take your beachhead market and potentially grow into bigger markets, to go and actually establish how you're going to make money selling in your beachhead market, to figure out what scales you need to be at from just a general pilot or even a lab scale to commercial scale, and really just creates a roadmap as you go through the program, to go from this sort of concept of beachhead market to be like, all right, this is what we need to do to go manufacture and sell this product to this market. And the thing that's really great about the accelerator is, as you go through it, Jared and everyone that's helped develop this program has put together a huge list of industry experts, folks that are either from the venture capital side, or from the manufacturing side, or from the government funding side, that come and you don't exactly pitch to them. You talk to them very directly about how you're going through the workbook and what exactly why your business case makes sense, but even more importantly, why your product makes sense, and why there is demand for your product, and what is the need you're meeting. And you get feedback. you have the opportunity in these small group sessions to get feedback from these industry experts that is, really beneficial in terms of helping ask questions that you haven't asked yourself or that haven't been asked through the worksheet. And so that process of refinement as the program goes on through each step and sort of cumulatively refining, any step of the way, you can always be asked questions or think through stuff all the way back to the beginning, which at times is also challenging. But that's been immensely helpful in terms of the process of going through the accelerator.
Yeah, I guess you already touched on, Matt, some of those unique features, and then you had a lot of ideas of how, let's say specifically wood straw could be used. But after you went through the accelerator, did you narrow down some of those key features, or the key applications? Could you share which ones those are?
Yeah, so we narrowed it down to a beachhead market of post-fire recovery project managers. So specifically talking to the people that are doing erosion control after wildfire season in order to mitigate the erosion effects that come along with wildfire. And so, there's a big need for that sort of emergency erosion mitigation, including, to protect resources, to protect anything that's there, but also to help maintain stream water quality and quantity, to help minimize landslides, that kind of thing, to help minimize impact to critical infrastructure. A lot of times, the Forest Service is trying to protect roads by doing erosion mitigation. And so there's really a major need. And that was actually borne out over the duration of the program. We did sell a number of truckloads of wood straw to post-fire recovery managers over the last couple of months, because the program really coincides with the end of the wildfire season, which is the beginning of the erosion mitigation season. And so we really dialed in to that market, and it really did help us generate sales by focusing just on that and not spending the little bandwidth that we have on chasing other markets like a Home Depot retail market or some sort of road construction market or something like that.
Matt, I have a question. Who came up with the idea, the concept, wood straw?
Yeah,
that's something that you have. Go ahead.
That's a great question. So we purchased the equipment from a company called Erosion Control Innovations, and they purchased it from a company called Forest Concepts. And Forest Concepts invented the product, or at least invented the manufacturing equipment and trademarked the product. There had been talk within the Forest Service research labs about using a wood strand mulch, different wood-based mulches that could outperform agricultural straw and be readily available in the forested West. And potentially, the Forest Service is always trying to think of products that can also facilitate utilization. So they really want to find a product that can be made from forest restoration residuals, the leftover trees from those projects, and instead of burning it in a slash pile, turn into a useful product that can then be reapplied to the landscape. And so kind of the concept really came out of Forest Service research labs, and then Forest Concepts turned it into a viable product and designed all the manufacturing equipment. But they're truly a manufacturing innovation lab. So they like to develop new equipment, design, develop new equipment, figure out how to operate it, and then sell it to a company that actually will manufacture that product. And so that's what they did here, and we're the current beneficiary of their work.
I'm reading just right from your website, Matt. It says wood straw is a patented engineered wood strand mulch with highly effective erosion control characteristics, useful for post wildfire restoration, road maintenance, mine reclamation, construction, and any other disturbed soil projects. Great summary of it. I'm curious, my background is in engineering and mechanical stuff as well. I'm just curious if you could share some more about how do you actually make this stuff? Why is this different than the mulch you could just go buy from a landscaping place?
Yeah. So a funny side note, that website, you're looking at the woodstraw.com website. So that's
It's
not,
heartwoodbiomass.com.
oh, it is on Heartwood. Somebody put that on. I didn't even, okay. That's interesting. Most people, yeah, kind of a funny deal. The Forest Concept still controls the Woodstraw website. And so there's a lot of information on there that doesn't reflect what I've learned in the accelerator, but that's a side note. So to answer
Okay.
your question, the way that wood straw is made is you take sheets of veneer, just like you'd put in a multi-layered sheet for plywood and glue together for plywood, but instead of gluing it together and making plywood, you run it through it's kind of like a glorified paper shredder. So it makes strands that are from 2 inches to about 7 inches, and it cuts strands they're like 3/16 wide. Generally we use 1/8 inch ply, and then between 2 and 7 inches long. And so when you drop it on a slope or wherever you're trying to mitigate erosion, it creates this like 3-dimensional matrix. And so one, it prevents rain from getting directly to the soil surface. And then it creates a bunch of kind of small interlocking dams so that when water flows across the landscape, it slows up before it absorbs into the soil instead of running down a slope. But then it also sort of locks together. So unlike straw that can blow around and get spread off a hill, it'll lock together. And so that makes it really resistant to wind. And then just the fact that wood itself is much more, wood is a much higher duration product in the landscape. So compared to even a hydro mulch or something like that, that's going to go away after a couple of years. And certainly compared to agricultural straw, having this wood product on the landscape allows you to get 4 or 5 years of erosion mitigation from one application, which just isn't the case for even blankets, hydro mulch, like some of the other alternatives that generally aren't even practical for a forestry setting. It just lasts way longer than those other products.
You just kind of basically answered proactively the question I was going to ask, which is what are some of the unique features and qualities of the product wood straw, as you just described. I guess the follow-up question to that, if there may be other unique key features or something or qualities that you would like to describe, but I'm also curious just how thick of an application do you have to put down for it to be effective?
So, generally it's less about, we talk about it not about thickness and more about coverage, and you want about 70% of the soil to be covered from, looking from above on a 2-dimensional perspective. And, that generally equates to about 3 inches of coverage. But it's not, it doesn't create a mat. So that's a really important aspect, is that it's, because it's this 3-dimensional structure, you're able to seed through the product in years after application. You can still seed through it if you wanted to put any sort of beneficial seeds down. And then because it's a mulch, just like any other mulch, you get better germination because the soil moisture is actually held better. So in dry land applications where you can't irrigate, you get better germination rates with any mulch.
Man, that's super interesting, man. You guys hitting some really specific niche in the space here. I love it.
Yeah, trying to anyway. Just getting started here.
I wanted to ask you: so the patent and the application, all that so that belongs now to your company?
So we have a license agreement with Forest Concepts.
Okay, so still but that's something that, yeah, okay, I got you. I was thinking about, because this is the erosion, for example, and forest fires is an international problem,
Yeah,
right? So this technology can be applicable anywhere in the world, really.
totally. And people make plywood just about everywhere in the world too. So there's veneer available just about everywhere.
Hmm.
Yeah, our license agreement basically covers the western states. So Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Arizona, and then California, Oregon, Washington. Um, we there's no licensee in outside of the United States, but there is a second licensee that's based out of Colorado, and they do Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Texas, New Mexico. So there is opportunity for other businesses in this space, and like you were saying, Vadim, like there's certainly a need across the world, uh, and so thinking about the wood world idea, and being able to share ideas across the world, like there's yeah, there's some knowledge that could be shared there.
Absolutely. I guess maybe with that, I'd like to kind of bring it back to Jared, you and Matt, you guys together. But in what ways does participating in the FPA, the Forest Products Accelerator, benefit both Heartwood Biomass as a company and the broader wood products industry, more generally speaking?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of come back to our these like core areas that we identified early on when we were envisioning this accelerator. I mean, we've been really like impressed with the types of companies that have come out, even between our first year and our second year. I mean, last year we had a lot of companies that were like developing new types of wood fuels, wood energy systems. Versus this year, we've transitioned for whatever reason to a lot more companies that are doing building materials and building products, which is really interesting. It shows like the whole range of innovation and startups that are emerging in the industry. And we've also, in both years, had some software companies that are finding new ways to, assess forests, support like operations of foresters and forest industry companies. Uh, so I think I'm excited and hoping to continue to grow this program is just the wide range of companies that we can potentially work with that are uh, that are like supporting the industry and have the potential to create jobs, create products, and then in our case, and I think in Matt's case, is to really benefit rural communities, which is also really interesting to us. I mean, a lot of these companies are emerging in areas that don't traditionally have the same types of startups. So they are both, doing something really interesting in the industry and supporting and creating quality jobs in their communities, which are very often rural based, which I think is really exciting to us as similarly a quite rural region.
Yeah, I hear you. Hmm. Here's a question for you both. What advice would you give to other companies in the wood product space? Maybe similar to Matt, your story, or Jared, other stories that you know of, like companies that are in the wood product space who are considering joining an accelerator in general, but the Forest Products Accelerator more specifically.
I think
Yeah,
we have, yeah, go for it, Matt.
no, Jared, you're on it.
I, I mean, we have as an accelerator both an interest in supporting. I mean, Matt is kind of unique in that he is like a bridge between these two groups, uh, but supporting these emerging ideas, but also really trying to engage like industry leaders in existing companies, uh, which has been a process to build that up. I mean, from our first year to our second year, we have seen way more engagement from existing companies and more interest and always talking to these from large corporate partners to county foresters that are interested in technology and innovation that's emerging. So we're really interested in engaging both of those groups, like these startups, emerging companies that are looking for some type of support, and also these more established companies that want to engage with innovation, and they see a benefit. One is just to see like what's happening in the industry to keep up to date. Two is they're potential customers of many of the startups that are participating in the accelerator, or their partners, or they benefit from this technology in some way. And so we really have, yeah, this real interest in engaging like the whole industry. And then additionally, the forest industry is, I think, somewhat unique and nice in that there is this really investment in the industry that we just bring a lot of industry experts in that just want to see success. I mean, they see this benefit of developing new markets for low grade wood, and some of that might be a financial benefit to them, but also they just uh, have this general incentive of seeing a thriving industry and strong communities. And so we've really worked through this to engage like all of those, that range of stakeholders.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
could.
Matt, you're gonna share your perspective too.
Yeah, I mean, and to follow up to just on what Jared is saying, like the forest products industry is unique in that there is some pretty heavy competition between kind of the big players, particularly on the lumber and plywood markets, or lumber, plywood, and paper markets. But everyone understands that a thriving forest products industry is a good thing. So the idea that high tides raise all ships, and there's a lot of help and guidance and assistance and collaboration that can be done if new businesses are coming into the marketplace and are humble enough to ask for that help. And the accelerator is an example of that, like being able to go into a program and realize that you don't know what you think you know about your product or your markets, and that we all can learn more on our business and how to help develop these new wood products, that sometimes are incredibly innovative and new, and other times are even just kind of reinvigorations of existing product lines or existing markets. But being able and being willing to ask for help, to reach out to funders, to reach out to other business owners. By and large, everyone wants this industry to grow and to succeed, and understands that you know the rural communities that depend on these natural resources, all the businesses that depend on wood utilization, sort of all benefit from this work being done, and from new businesses entering the space, and people finding new ways to use wood that are awesome and super fun to see. So I think that in terms of advice, I think I'd just say, be people are willing to lend a helping hand if people are willing to ask for it.
Interesting. Is that how you envision the future of our industry, where there's a lot of collaboration, innovation, a big role for sustainability?
It
Is that
is.
the
I think,
future that you guys see?
yeah, Maria, I think that's totally right. That it kind of has to be the future, because there's when you're dealing with like this very physical thing of trees. Like, not every
Yeah.
tree can make every product. And so for all these businesses to be successful, you need to have a more collaborative um, sector to be able to get all the value out of all the different pieces of wood that are coming off the landscape, whether it's a saw log that's going to make 2x4s, or a Dr. Seuss tree that's going to make some chips and maybe go into energy or something. Like, you need that level of collaboration and public private partnership. Like, we need the folks, especially out west. We have a lot of huge tracts of land that are owned by the Forest Service. There's big
Yeah.
state forests. There's also big industrial timber ground, and to be able to do the sort of management that we need to do out on the landscape, like, we need to be partnering with the Forest Service, with state agencies, with county governments, and with diversity of businesses, to be able to collectively be successful.
Is that something that you see more now? state
Ab-
agencies, counties? Is
yeah,
that
absolutely. I think there's been two, just in my, the last, just shy of 15 years, I guess, that I've been involved with the forest products industry. I think I've seen two things. One, a lot more collaboration, like we're talking about, between agencies and industry and landowners and regulatory agencies as well. You know, the Forest Service, for example, understanding that like it's not a bad thing for industry to make money from from and it actually can help facilitate the forest restoration and the forest management that the Forest Service doesn't have the money to do themselves. And so it's kind of, you need both halves to make a whole. And then the other thing, I think there's been a really remarkable change in public opinion. I think there's still an uphill battle in some cases, but I think just these catastrophic wildfires um, have really helped to change the public opinion around forest management in general. Just realizing like if we don't do something about the problem we have in the forest, we're gonna lose it. And then it also has some implications in terms of all these climate goals that we have. You look at the fires in California in 2021, and there was just a study that was put out by University of California that showed one fire year emitted as much carbon as a third of all of California's carbon combined. So transportation, buildings, power generation, a third of that equivalent was emitted in one season of wildfire. And so, I think the public in general is really coming around on this idea of needing to manage the forest in order to mitigate these wildfires and also create sustainable products that can be used and displace carbon intensive products elsewhere.
Yeah, I know that long ago we were the bad guys. Remember, we
I
were
know,
killing the
exactly.
trees, destroying the world.
Yeah, exactly. And there still are some people that would say that, but I think by and large we've gotten past that.
I think so. No, there's it's a great change for everybody to understand that actually we contribute to the solution to provide a solution for the environmental problem that we're facing.
Yeah.
Uh, what are other innovation or great ideas from both organizations that you guys manage that you see upcoming up here that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think just over the past 2 years, I mean, I said earlier, we kind of seen this like whole range of innovation. Last year, we had a couple companies that were like developing new ways to sell logs more efficiently, to use byproducts to heat and power manufacturing facilities. Uh, that I think were all like valuable to people in the industry. And this year, seeing like several like building materials companies that I think it's like a whole new type of company that are potentially addressing like housing challenges while also using wood. Um, so making a whole range of building materials products, new types of wood uh, that I think is really exciting. So I think we're hoping to continue to see like that these different types of companies that will have an impact on the industry in different ways and have potential to grow. And like that said, they can both make money and while also benefiting their community and benefiting the industry.
And Matt, from your perspective, your region there.
Yeah, I think I would echo exactly what Jared said. And I think the building materials sector is changing dramatically, and it's being driven by these new products that are wood based. So whether it's CLT or other mass timber panels, or all kinds of different fiber products that are coming out, including a few that are in the accelerator program this year. I think that's already has been transformative for the wood products industry. And I think that it's really the future of building construction, frankly. There's going to be a lot more wood involved in buildings, including high-rise buildings. We have there's a building here in Portland. Mara, you might be familiar. It's 13 stories. There was a CLT building that got put up in Northeast Portland, and so there's really a movement towards mass timber construction, and different wood fiber based construction materials that is really transformative. For our just to speak to our business specifically, I'm really bullish, both about wood straw, in large part thanks to the accelerator, but I'm excited about biochar. I think that biochar represents a way to enhance agricultural operations, especially in rural communities that are, at the front line of these wildfires, and sort of connect the dots from the forest to the farm in a way that's really beneficial, especially in a world that's getting more and more water scarce every year, it seems like. And so I think biochar has a real potential to have carbon benefits, help facilitate forest restoration, help kind of grease the wheels of forest products businesses, and then drive real benefits on farm.
Matt, for those who don't know or aren't familiar with what biochar is or what it does, how it works, what is biochar in a nutshell? And feel free to share more about it. If you're excited about it, let's hear about it.
Yeah, so biochar is it's basically charcoal that's applied to agricultural soils, and from a technology perspective, you produce it by pyrolyzing wood, and so you basically heat wood in an anoxic environment and end up with the carbon structure of that wood. So it's biochar is typically somewhere between 80 and 90% pure carbon. But when you burn off all the volatile gases, any of the tars, all that stuff, and end up with that carbon structure, with woody biomass in particular, the structure of the biochar is the structure of the cells, and the strong cellulosic walls is maintained when it's pyrolyzed and made into the biochar. And so you get this really incredible thing that happens where a tablespoon of biochar will have something like 50 square meters of surface area because of all those pores in the from the cellulosic walls that were in the original cells in the wood. And what that means for a farmer is that those pores are kind of little docks for nutrients and water. And so when you apply it to agricultural soils, you pretty dramatically enhance the water and nutrient carrying capacity of those soils.
That's pretty incredible. And it's a use case for wood.
Yeah, it's a use case for wood. And it's I mentioned earlier, new innovations, but also old innovations being invigorated. I believe it was the Incan Empire, the terra preta was the first known use of biochar to enhance agricultural soils. And from a carbon perspective, the biochar that they used, that was 4 millennia ago, that carbon is still embedded in the soil and hasn't been emitted. So there's a very real climate impact of converting wood to biochar and putting it in soils. Mario, is that right?
Matt, I don't know. I'm the first time that I hear that, but curious about the technology. What does it take to develop that, to do it?
So the majority of the biochar that's made in the States now is basically high carbon fly ash. So there are some plants, Biomass One in Southern Oregon is one of them, that have converted their ash removal system from a traditional biomass power plant to capture higher carbon material coming out the back end. And then they can, through some post-processing, they can isolate the biochar versus the ash Sometimes that ash actually has a real benefit into agricultural operations in and of itself, but that's kind of the most common way right now. The future of biochar production, I think, is either a kiln or a continuous rotary, either a stationary batch kiln or a continuous rotary kiln that basically allows you to put clean wood in that's dry. It has to be dry to get good production. But you put wood in, you heat it, and then it recycles the gases. So it takes the volatile gases that are cooked off the wood are then used to burn. So it ends up being, typically when manufacturing biochar, there's a startup period that needs to use an outside fuel source, but the reaction is basically self-sustaining. The thermodynamics are such that you can take those gases, burn them, and finish pyrolyzing the material and making a good biochar without any additional energy input. And oftentimes, the better systems can actually provide some heat takeoff, and that heat takeoff can be converted into electricity as well. So you can have projects that are combined heat and char are probably the most common in terms of the new technologies that are coming out, but there also are projects that are heat power and char.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of very smart people working on biochar right now. So
Well, we can. Well, Vadim, we can. I have a follow up question, but we can edit this portion just for Jake to know. But is this the same material that I read and I've been talking to people? I mean, 10 years ago about this, and it has a lot of power, like an energy power. Is that the same product or not?
so
The
it's
biochar that
similar.
you're talking about.
I think what you're referring to is probably torrefied wood.
Oh,
And
okay. All
people were
right.
talking about, which is a similar process, but it's not.
Yeah.
Torrefied wood is there's a lot of talk of using torrefied wood to replace coal or co-fire with coal,
Yes. That's what I was
and
thinking of when you were talking about. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. So
Now,
the
I don't know if you
the
know Dusty Allison in Portland. He used to have he was representing the technology to do that. So that's when you were explaining the other product, it made me think of that.
yeah.
I see.
Yeah, the biggest difference between it's a different operating temperature that torrefaction happens at. And if I understand correctly, part of the reason why it can be co-fired with coal is because some of the volatile gases are left in the material, and
Right.
so when you co-fire it with coal, it actually has a lot of energy potential. You can burn biochar, um, but it's much harder to light than even like a charcoal briquette, like you might see.
I see. Thank you. Yeah. And
Yeah,
we can continue with the
yeah,
We had a
with
company
the
last year that was doing. I just sent it in the chat, and their vision was to replace coal.
yeah.
So they were like targeting these German coal plants that could easily transition to their product.
Hmm.
But it was a big undertaking.
yeah.
Can you share more about that, Jared? Is that something we do publicly as well?
I don't know where they're at right now. To be honest, my hunch is that it didn't work out. That they just were never. I think there were challenges with having a European customer as their beachhead market, and that they are not all that interested in buying significant amounts of products from the U.S. I think it was somewhat political. Uh, so I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to reach out to them and see where they are. And they just need a ton of money. It was like a pilot plant was, 12 million, and to really get to full production was pretty expensive. But it had these benefits that it could, replace coal. It was water resistant, so would significantly lower shipping costs. Where it needs, currently you need like these huge covered infrastructure at ports in order to like ship pellets. So it had all these benefits, but it also had some big challenges to launching.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Yeah.
If I can switch the topic here for a second. First of all, Jared, Matt, off script. Are we good on time wise? Can we go for a couple more minutes? Do you have to run?
Yeah, I have a hard stop at 1, but I can go till then. Or at 4 your guys' time.
Yeah.
Jared, you okay for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And back to our regular scheduled programming.
Yeah.
Well, so in the wood products sector, we're hearing a lot that the need for more talent, more jobs are coming online, and there aren't people there to fill those jobs. Could you both maybe speak to the career opportunities that you know of, heard about, that are opening up? What's the career opportunity like for maybe folks who are not in the space yet, that are looking for work, or younger professionals who are looking for a career path? Is wood products a place where people should look at for continuing and building a career, for the long term? If so, can we talk about that for a second? And could you highlight what skills or knowledge they might need, to go down this, to find success in our industry, in the wood product sector, in the wood forestry, in the wood world?
I feel like there's two parts. I mean, the first is I go to a lot of meetings at like the state level where workforce is this constant challenge. So I do think there is this opportunity for existing businesses to better leverage technology to address workforce challenges. And so I think that is where there's some overlap with the programming that we're developing and an opportunity for existing companies to partner with emerging companies that are helping to address some of those challenges. I, I mean, all industries are facing workforce challenges, and I do think that is like there's some specific challenges in the forest industry. But I think what is really interesting is jobs are changing a little bit, and there is this huge range of new skills that are needed. I mean, jobs in the forest industry cover anything from, and as new technology is emerging, a lot of those jobs are both requiring higher skills. I mean, there's engineers and knowledge of technology, so there are new skill demands. But then it also covers a whole range of jobs from people working in the woods, foresters, loggers, manufacturers, engineers, and emerging technology is both introducing uh, demand for new types of skills, but also might create jobs that are appealing to a new set of people and bring new individuals into the forest industry. So I think that is exciting.
Totally. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the workforce challenges are very real. I mean, I think for us, we've, especially after COVID, we've had this situation where we the the mill is in this county that had 7,000 people in the first place, so not a huge potential workforce. And then with COVID, there was a lot more. There was a huge influx of people buying second homes because it's a beautiful mountainous area, being able to work from home, this and that. And so we've had many people that we've offered jobs to that were unable to take them because they lived from outside the area and couldn't find a place to live. So I think there's a need for innovation around the manufacturing side for a business like ours, to be able to you require less people to make the same amount. That same circumstance is creating real opportunities for the trade. So millwrights, the people that are fabricating, fixing, maintaining equipment in our facility have always been in short supply, and that's the sort of position that could certainly become a career. There are lots of millwrights that have been in that trade and worked up from apprenticeship through senior lead maintenance manager over the course of a career. Then there's just that kind of operations management, supervisor style position. There's a ton of need there as well. So kind of people that are interested in learning about manufacturing technologies, want to be in a business really makes things, and have the the skills and the drive to manage people and manage a facility. I think there's a huge amount of career opportunity there as well. But the workforce constraints have been exceptionally challenging for our business, and continue to be the number one challenge that we face day to day.
Yeah, we need to convince the new generation of younger people that working in forestry is a great place to be. You can share the time, the day, working inside, outdoor, doing many things, and people. I don't think people realize how good it is, the environment, to
Yeah,
be sharing your daily hours in so many activities. And also the other thing that probably people don't realize, how good the people in the wood industry is. They're very good people in general.
yeah,
Sometimes you don't find that in other industries, and our people here are very, strong values and hard workers, but at the same time very good people.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
You were talking about sales. I'm sorry.
I was just
Go ahead.
gonna I was just gonna go into our conclusion and say just thank you so much for opportunity to speak to you, Jared and Matt. Thank you so much for bringing your passion, excitement, energy for the industry, for wood products, for the wood world, and also just to learn, Matt, specifically about the products and innovations that you're working on, and how going through the program that Jared and their team are pioneering and um, managing and allowing forest products to gain more innovations, to develop things. We just want to thank you both for your time, for your insight. Any last comments, kind of like to wrap up our conversation here today? Any last messages or key takeaways that you'd like our audience to remember? Please share those now. Jared, we can start with you, and Matt, to you.
Yeah, I appreciate both of your time, and it was great to join, talk more about the Forestry Accelerator. I'm definitely we're always looking to continue to build connections with the industry and have conversations, identify where people in the industry see opportunity for innovation, startups, and build those partnerships. So uh, definitely looking to leverage this to build our connections and let people know about these opportunities to work with emerging businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd just say, thanks for the opportunity to talk wood. I really enjoyed talking about this stuff and thinking about this stuff. And so, yeah, it's been a pleasure to be on with you guys and to meet you. And um, definitely want to thank Jared and the Forest Accelerator program, Ecos VC. Just been hugely beneficial for me personally, and for our business and the development of this new product line. So we're grateful to be a part of the program.
Thanks, Matt.
Mario, any last words?
No, I'm very excited to have you both here in our Wood World podcast. It's cool to find people with the passion and the knowledge and the expertise that you guys have. So keep doing the good work there, and helping the rural communities, helping bringing innovation, and making people excited to join our industry. So keep doing what you're doing. Amazing.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wood World podcast. Now go out there, embrace the grain, make your mark on the world of wood.